Hello, Sandy. How are you?
I'm very good. How are you?
Well, very good. We're excited to talk about your book later on. There's nothing better than I like as a brand new book to touch. So we're just going to delve in and find out a little bit about you, why you've written it, and about the story to encourage people to have a look. And for those that have gone all techno and have their technology right with them, you can go to her webpage straight away, which is sandypaull.com, and you can check out whether she's saying the right answers or not.
Oh, thank you very much.
So let's have a little bit of more music, and then we'll chat about the book, and we'll talk about how to get fitness of the mind.
This is Food, Fun and Fitness with Leanne, and our guest today is Sandy Paull. Welcome back, both of you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Sandy, so first let's talk a little bit about your book. Tell us about how would you encourage me to read it? What's the story a little bit about? Give me a little bit of a
teaser, a little teaser.
A little teaser.
A little teaser. Well, you always put yourself in the heroine's shoes and just look for excitement.
Wow.
A bit of danger to spice up the day, and away you go.
Whoa.
So, and just try a few new different things that you've never tried before, like using a Shanghai, sliding down a hillside on a palm leaf, and I think you'll have a few thrills.
Okay, so I know that one of the things that authors have to do is do a lot of research, especially when they're doing thrillers and crime novels. It's really important because there's nothing worse than reading a book and then going, this is not really true. This is not how someone does. I think, it's... So what research did you have to do this book, as well as researching on the actual being a writer? You also have to research the different things that you want your heroine to do. So what type of adventures did you have for research?
Well, first of all, we used to take regular trips up to Youngla, and I used to walk around and look at the surroundings and see what I had that I could use. And we have a photo taken of us, my daughter and my husband, in the buttress of a tree, so I knew how big they were and whatever. When we were younger, we used to, when the harbour was the way it used to be with all the pine trees and palm trees and that, we used to slide down the hill on a farm front. And quite messy at the bottom. I used to do sewing from home, and one of my clients asked me what the book was about. When I told him, he turned up one day with a Shanghai. I hadn't shot a Shanghai for years.
I was wondering about this.
Yeah, and so we had a old tree down off our property, so it got pelted with a few rocks. So, yeah, so everything that's in the book is mostly what I've done. I even abseiled down a cliff face in New Zealand on our school tour when I was in grade 9.
Wow.
That was really scary, and I did slip the last few metres. So,
So that's really exciting, because I think it's really important to make sure that what people are reading feels truthful. They have to believe that the character is actually doing it. Yes, I know some authors, like, it's good excuse to be a bit adventurous.
Yes.
But your background, like being in karate and travelling around, you sound like you're an adventurous person anyway.
I probably used to be a lot more adventurous than I am now, but I suffer quite a bit with vertigo, so I have to watch what I do.
Yes.
So, my days of doing gymnastics and flipping everywhere and doing a lot of things like that, they're very limited these days. But, yes, I've certainly done a few things. So.
Well, I think that your adventure's now going with your brain, and going on to be an author is and to put yourself out there in a book and exposing yourself like that is a fairly big adventure in itself.
Oh, that is.
You mentioned here that you had a friend give you a hand to create a punchy synopsis.
Yeah.
That must have been fun. You must have been sort of toing and froing all sorts of ideas.
Yeah, we used to go for coffee every couple of weeks. And we'd take a chapter along or something, and we'd go over it, and she'd read mine and I'd read hers. We'd have homework for each other, and then And then it come to the time where I needed to do a synopsis, and so she helped me do that one, and I've stuck with that. That's what you see on the back of the book. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. That's good.
Oh, I thought you meant punching as in punching.
No, punching as in punchy words. Descriptive words, or yes, that's that kind of punching, not the physical, violent type.
Because that's what I thought when she said we met for coffee, and I was just having this
vision of a punch-up
match.
I was just thinking, oh, here we go, we're going to have this punching thing at the coffee shop. I was like, which coffee shop did you go to?
Oh, dear.
Because I know that you can do weird things in coffee shops and it helps stimulate writing. There was one, I remember one going to some workshop with someone and them saying to you, why don't you be the character and also see how people react to different things? So one of the challenges was to put yourself into look physically different and go and act in a certain way at a coffee shop and see how the people's reactions and record their reactions, so that way you have them to write in your writing, because often, like I'm fairly conservative, so I'm not going to naturally see what it feels like that people see if they see someone that looks a little bit different. So I decided to go with a big red floppy hat, a big stack of books and a pencil and paper, and sat down at this coffee shop with this big, huge stack of books with this big floppy hat all over me. It was the most incredible experience.
Was it? What did people sort of look at you?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and they didn't know quite what I was doing, and I was like writing down their reactions to me. Like some people would walk past, their mouth down and stuff like that. So yeah, so when you said you went to the coffee shop, my mind was going there. You and your friend were punching each other up.
No, not at all. Not at all. She's too lovely a person.
Okay, so one of the things that we were going to talk today about was like brain training as an exercise. So how important like reading a book can be, but then reflecting on the fact that because being a fitness instructor, I have to make sure that people aren't sitting down too long. Yeah, so Susie reckons that people would have to read at least 2 chapters before they'd be able to put your book down. But I also noticed here on your website that you used to do macrame.
Yes, I did. Yes.
I love macrame. I just love macrame.
I just love tying knots.
Yeah, it was just a thought, of doing it. And it's just a really creative way of exercising your brain, because it's left and right over the top of each other. So I just thought that was quite an interesting thing. Okay, so tell us. So we've got our heroine, or our
Cassie.
Cassie's our heroine. Describe Cassie to me.
Oh, she's not a recluse, but she's not very adventurous. She stays home most of the time, and she's a writer. So she could be like me, I suppose. But she mainly stays for herself. And she just loves to create. She's not one of these people who goes out. She hates the outdoors. Doesn't do anything like too elaborate. And when she's put in this situation, it's totally out of her comfort zone.
And she probably doesn't even believe she can be that strong a woman.
No, she doesn't. No, that's why she's probably afraid most of the time. But I think when we're all put in a dangerous situation, or a situation that we've never been in before, somehow we find the fortitude to handle it.
That's exactly
as I am now.
As you're doing now. I know. I just give it. If you were seeing us on TV, you would see us. We were having this smile of how proud we were of Sandy. Yes. So we're talking with Sandy Paull. Her book is Clouds of Grey. You're listening to Community Radio 4CRM 107.5 FM. So our guest today on Fitness, Food and Fun is author Sandy Paull, and we're talking about her book Clouds of Grey, and the heroine we found out is going outside her comfort zone. And we're discussing the fact that we would really like to encourage people to read a book, but we're a bit worried about people sitting down too much. Right, so one of the things, just a little bit of statistics to get your interest in, is that statistically, most people that work in office spend 14 hours of their day seated, because when they come home from work, they're sitting down. So one of the ways that they are trying to make up for that is to go to gym, say, 2 or 3 times a week and do an hour's workout, and they're going, I'm really, really helping my health. I've made up for all the sitting, when they're not making up for their sitting. So if you look at the effects of sitting, prolonged sitting, and you Google it, you'll find a diagram, and it shows you the risk factors involved in prolonged sitting. Regardless of whether you exercise or not, certain risk factors aren't decreased. So that means don't give up doing your 3 days a week at the gym, but how about considering some ways that you might be able to do other things in your life? So we were talking about the fact that an author would have to spend a lot of time sitting down. So what have you been using as a way of making sure that you keep fit?
Well, I've recently heard that standing up helps the metabolism. So lately, for the last few weeks, I've been standing up when I write my books. So, and that way I can move around a bit more. I'm not slouching my chair, and I feel fine. I don't feel like I'm so tired that I've got to sit down again. It's doing me well, I think.
Did you have to adjust where you actually put your keyboard and everything to
No, well, actually, we have a very high bed.
Oh, right, so it's perfect.
Yeah, and of course I'm only little, so I just sit my laptop there, and I have a like a little shelf thing that I sit it on, and then it's the right height, and it's great.
Oh, perfect.
And so it's very important, I think, and it's what the idea is that this prolonged sitting is that you're slouching over, you're shrinking in the chest, so you're covering up your chest, you're not breathing as well as that you should be breathing. You're also squashing all your internal organs all the time, so you're putting this extra weight all on there and crushing them, so you're not letting them work to their best ability. So the idea of standing up is exactly that, is to allow that flow through the body. And it's interesting that you say that you actually feel less fatigued standing up than sitting down at the computer, and people that take on board that concept, the first couple of days it's kind of weird for them. Did you find it was kind of strange at first?
Yeah, I did. Yep.
Yeah, that whole concept, like, because I should be sitting down.
Yes.
Yeah, that whole retraining your brain. But once they get the concept, there's some places, like there's some offices now that there's like some companies that have gone and removed all sitting desks and spent like millions of dollars refurnishing their office with all stand-up tables. And another way is that when you go to meet, when you have to have you're workshopping, often you're in a big group of people and we're sitting in a room, and it just goes on and on and on, especially if you're the presenter, you kind of see that glazed look over their face. So what we've been taught as presenters would be to give everyone a lolly, that'll pep them up. Well, research is saying we should be getting them up out of their chair, if it's safe for them to do so, and get them to stand up and have a wander around and have a chat. Yeah. And that does exactly the same thing as stimulating the thing, because mostly we're very well fed at these type of things, so we really don't need that extra lolly. We just need to get our body going. So back to talking about the book. Now that we know we can safely read a book, and it's going to be very good for our mind fitness, going on an adventure, reading a book. Often books stimulate a research type of thing. You read something in a book that you might want to go, yeah.
Or take on a new activity.
Yeah, and you might think, I want to take up one of those slingshotty things.
Yeah, or go bushwalking.
You recommend bushwalking ahead of using one of those slingshotty things?
You could take one with you.
Yeah, I was going to say, when you read the book, you'll take one with you.
Oh, right, okay.
And you could even find a pebble on the ground.
Okay, I'm really looking forward. I have to own up that I don't have the pleasure of having read the book. Susie's had that pleasure, and and she really reassures me that I'm going to look forward to reading it. So
well, I've had good reports, so
it's good. Yeah. When's the next book?
I was going to release the next one in March, but March is already here, and the days are going so fast. So I think I might maybe go for about June.
Oh, so it's close.
Yes, it's only another 2.5 months away.
It is. And is your idea to have like a trilogy, or is it to use the same characters? What's your idea with the second book? Is it to follow on, or?
No, well, my second book is actually the very first book I wrote 17 years ago. Clouds of Grey was the 7th manuscript I'd written, but I felt that this one was the one I wanted to get out.
Yeah, so when you looked at that first manuscript, now who do you you put that out, who helped you with the decision making that it was a good story? Which person, like people have different people that encourage them, and you've got to have someone to edit it and all that. So did you go local with that?
I have a friend named Paul and he was the one who we asked if he would edit my book, and he said he would love to. And of course I felt very nervous over that because someone was actually going to read my work. But no, he was full of praise, and that was very good.
Yeah, and for people that mightn't know, but Paul Vanderloos has been a big thing in the Mackay Writers Group for, I don't know how many years they're up to, 25. It's a long time. And I should remember because last year they celebrated a significant birthday, but it's fallen out of my head. And he has spent time talking on a program, who wrote that, and spending a lot of time. He supported me too.
Yes.
And things like that. So he's a wonderful supporter of writers, and is a very good writer himself.
Yes.
Yeah. So we talk about best way these days to find out information about people is to Google it. So I got on here, I got on my tablet because I love technology. I put your name in it, and my goodness gracious me, you are very much in the spotlight of technology out there, aren't you? We have,
now.
Yeah, there's Facebook's happening, Twitter's happening, there's everything there. So there must be someone. Is that what you're doing, or have we got someone special at backing you up with all this?
My husband, Brian, he always said that when I become famous, he wants to be my manager. So I said, well, you better go to work. So
yes, yeah, and you better go to work and make you famous. That's right.
So he has taken on the managing role of me, and he's doing a great job.
So people that would like to get a copy of your book, the simplest thing is just to Google and then all the contact details.
That's correct. Yeah.
And all that. So there's a lot of different ways there. So for anybody, whatever technology you grab hold of, I'm sure that people will find a way of contacting Sandy there. Okay, so
that sounds great. Thank you very much for coming in and talking to us today.
Thank you for asking.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. It's lovely to meet somebody who's written a book that you enjoyed.
Yeah, and so this is Sandy Paull we've been chatting to. Her book is Clouds of Grey. It's a suspense thriller action book, and we really have to read it because you have to find out about the slingshot, or what else do you call it, something else?
Shanghai.
A Shanghai, okay. Is there a difference?
No, no, just different terminology.
Good, okay, good, because that word's so hard for me to say. So this is Leanne and Susie, and we'll be back in a minute where we'll talk a little bit about the food, because we've talked about fitness and fun.
Right, yes.
So we'll talk about food. So you know what food we're going to talk about?
Brussels sprouts.
Brussels sprouts. That'll be so much fun. So thank you, Sandy. Thank you so much, Sandy Paull, for dropping into us.
Thank you.